Good evening, Fiends. Are you ready? Let's get spooky.
To Midsummer Scream. From superhero and fantasy films to tales of horror, our special guest this afternoon is an international fan favorite. He's a writer, producer, and actor with one hell of a career. It's time to settle in for a midday chat with the devil. Please welcome to the stage your host from the Let's Get Spooky podcast, creator and actress, Leanna Vamp.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Are you guys excited? We have tons of spooky fun in store for you guys, and I would like to introduce my friend, actor, writer, producer, Mr. David Dastmalchian. We did that earlier, but we have to do that again because, for the audience. How are you?
Great. So good to see you all here at Midsummer Scream. It's my favorite convention of them all. I love it here. Oh my God. I'm just a nerd through and through, so it's been a busy, awesome Comic-Con, and you would think you can't top the last 4 days I've had in San Diego. Me and the kids got in the car this morning after a night of stuffing ourselves with room service and watching Family Guy, and then as you do with a 7 and 10-year-old. Don't tell anybody I'm such a bad dad as they film.
Right, as this is recorded forever.
And we got in the car and drove up here. My daughter, who's 7, is wearing her Count Crowley Famous Monsters shirt and ripped onto the floor, so excited. It's so awesome to be here. So I'm very happy, very excited, very, very evil.
I am so excited to have you. I feel like the last time we saw each other, we were in New Orleans, which was really fun. And we just got to run around New Orleans it was literally for an hour.
Yeah, but it was amazing.
We made it happen.
I was there promoting, we're doing some late night stuff for Overlook Film Festival.
Yep.
If anyone here has never been to Overlook, I highly recommend. It's an amazing horror film festival. And I was there with Leah Kilpatrick, who I write and create a lot of my horror stuff with, and so we're in New Orleans together. We got to do something. So what did we do? We went to Voodoo Shots together.
And where did we met at we were going to meet at the Vampire Cafe. Yeah, it was great.
As you do when in New Orleans with your friend Vamp.
Yep, and we explored some spooky stuff and hung out, and then now we're here. It's crazy. It feels like that was yesterday. So we're going to hang out. We're going to chat. We are going to play a couple rounds of What's in the Coffin, so I hope you're ready, because that's going to be fun. And then towards the end, we're going to open it up to audience questions, so be prepared for that. I'll give you guys a heads up, and we'll have a mic kind of moving around for you. So whenever we do Let's Get Spooky, and I have a new guest, we take a trip down memory lane and to get to know you a little better. We all know you, we all know the amazing things that you've done, but we want to know little wee baby fiend David and all the things that he loved. So do you remember your very first horror flick and how old you were?
Depends how you define horror flick, but I guess a true blue creature feature. The first one that I fully remember, I was very young, maybe 2nd, 3rd grade-ish, sneaking downstairs because I would watch cartoons after school on...
Were you allowed to watch scary movies?
No.
Okay.
Very, very conservative religious household. Okay. So KSHB TV 41 in Kansas City, which is where I grew up, I'd be watching Transformers or G.I. Joe after school, and they would do these little teasers where this woman who just mesmerized me, named Cremation Mortem, would pop up for just a quick tag and go, join me on Friday night on Crematia's Friday Nightmare Theater. And I needed to know what was happening at Friday Nightmare Theater. So
I feel like this story explains so much about who have you become. We're going to get more into this, but I feel like
it really does.
This is great.
On so
This is
many
great
levels.
stuff.
So sneaking downstairs and getting to watch Oliver Reed in Curse of the Werewolf, the Hammer classic, as introduced by Cremation Mortem on the Friday Nightmare Theater. And then watching her show every week was something that like I lived for. She was my first crush. She was the first person to introduce me to, you know, Lon Chaney and his son and Boris and Vincent and all the people we love so much. And but it was Curse of the Werewolf, and it was really powerful. That movie, if you've never seen it before, I highly recommend it. Even if you don't love like old horror, it's a beautiful film that looks incredible. The acting's incredible, and it's really disturbing and scary, and doesn't shy away from, you know, weird dark stuff. But at the same time, it's very emotional, and I just thought he's just such a phenomenal actor. So the transformation, that makeup is one of the best werewolf makeups of all time.
And we said first or second grade. So how old are you? Like 8?
Second, I think I was 8. Yeah.
8 or 9. So you're pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
Were you immediately drawn to it, or were you kind of like, oh, this is scary?
Both.
Okay, that's I think.
And I
what's
still
perfect.
am.
Really?
Does this blow your mind? There are films that I'll see to this day, which I wish I'd never watched, which like mess me up. I can still be that affected by the material, which I think is a good thing. I don't want to ever be.
Examples.
Speak No Evil, I wish I'd never watched.
Really?
Yeah, that movie was, it messed, and now they're remaking it. I ran into to Mackenzie and James yesterday, who are starring in the new remake, and I was talking to them, and I said, I probably am not going to watch the remake.
I think that's so interesting.
But the other night, I wrestle with anxiety a lot, and it's something I kind of have a daily practice to work through everything, meditation and therapy and medication and all these things. But like, it can sometimes really take hold of me. And of course, there's times when I can look at like, oh, obviously this is why I'm feeling anxious right now. But there's other times when like I'm really miffed and I'm kind of inside myself trying to like understand what's going on. And a couple weeks ago, I remember going to see Long Legs, and I was kind of entering into an anxious state, which is, it pisses me off, because I'm like, I just spent money on this movie, I'm excited to see this movie, and if I'm feeling anxiety, and as the movie started, I had a really uncomfortable time with, seeing my kids under threat is always extra scary.
Like already anxious, and now this
so
is
I still,
stressful.
to this day, will put something on, whether I'm at home on my, you know, Shudder, which I watch probably every night, or I'm at a movie theater. And even going into haunted houses, you know how much I love haunted houses. Like like one of my life dreams is to design and put on my own immersive horror experience. But even walking tentatively into Not Scary or Horror Nights or, you know, Delusion, I'm like,
You know what I think? So any haunted house sort of situation, I feel like I've done so many. I'm not necessarily numb to it, but I love living through other people, because I'm going through it and I'm smiling and I'm laughing. They're trying to scare me and I'm like happy, and I feel like they think that's a bad thing, but I just really love it. But I love when people can feel those emotions, you know, and I think it's so fantastic. So, but it's surprising that in this world that there's still things that you're like, oh, that's scary.
There's still things that scare me. That's why I write, I think. There's still a lot of things that scare me about the world and life, and I think that I'm really grateful that I have the opportunity to get to write and create stories and characters through which I can, if maybe not confront my fears, at least like look at them through a different lens, which helps
and
maybe
acknowledge them, right?
Yeah,
because acknowledging them helps you get through them.
It certainly does.
Yeah.
And like, but yeah, I mean, I love it. I love it.
I guess I'm talking a big game too, because there's some things that I watch and I'm like, okay, I have to go to the bathroom and it's dark, and then you think you see something in the mirror and then you don't, and you're just freaking yourself out. So I guess I am a chicken too, a little bit.
People crack up when I'll go see a horror movie with them too, because they're like, this is your jam. I'm like, it is my jam.
Right.
And they'll look over at me at some points going like this, and they're like, are you kidding me? Dave Dastmalchian covers his
The
eyes.
scary guy's afraid of the scary things?
I have a fun story, speaking of that, though. When I was being little, I have 3 older siblings. My sister Holly's 10 years older, my sister Heidi's 8 years older, and my brother Jeff is 6 years older. Jeff teased and tormented me the most. He showed me Halloween for the first time, Friday night for the first time, all when I was probably in 3rd grade-ish. Used to love to scare me. Michael Myers was a big presence in our house. Secretly, because our parents, we'd get in trouble, but he was always humming the theme song and, but my sister Holly, who, my sisters kind of liked pretending like they were second mothers to me. So they were very loving to me. But for some reason, once in a while, Holly would tuck me in, tell me, say goodnight, leave, and then she'd scratch. She'd come back in this terrifying face, and I would scream and cry. She'd run out, and then she'd come back in as herself to
That's good.
So
That's an older sister, older brother type thing.
So this sister, I love her to death. She's always like, when do I get to come to one of your movie premieres? So last year, I go, I've got a good one for you. And I brought her to the Boogeyman premiere. And I sat about 3 seats down from her and just laughed so hard because she lost it. She was terrified the whole movie. It was really awesome.
So speaking of Boogeyman, we did a screening of Boogeyman, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna text David. And you're like, yeah, I'll come. And everyone loved it. They were so excited to see you. But I brought my mom to Boogeyman, and she just wants to support, but she also is terrified of scary movies. So the whole time, she was like, your friend is so nice, but in the movie, that movie's really scary.
They did a great job with that. I love
the movie's
Rob
fantastic.
Savage is incredible. I don't know if anyone saw Host, his film that he shot in the pandemic about a seance taking place over the Zooms. It's so good. But with Boogeyman, he, it's a short story. It's a short story that messed me up, that I love, but it's also one that I was like, I don't know, Lester's so easy to dislike in the short story. He's just such a kind of homophobe, racist jerk guy, and you're like, I don't know. And the way that they crafted him in this adaptation to the film, I was really excited.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Really excited about doing,
Do you remember your first Halloween memory? Because I'm assuming your first Halloween memory was probably before your first horror movie. Do you remember what that was?
Yeah, so growing up in Kansas, trick-or-treating was a very big deal. Halloween, people loved it, but it wasn't that celebrated in our house. But my siblings would get dressed up in something fun for a Halloween party. All of it. I would start to get excited in June, July, dreaming up my costume, thinking of my costume. Scooby-Doo was really big to me when I was very little, kindergarten, first grade. Anything that had a Halloween, commercials, Halloween commercials I loved, and then TV shows would have their Halloween episodes.
Yeah.
Pumpkins, jack-o'-lanterns, The Great Pumpkin, I still watch every year, sometimes several times a year. So those qualify as earliest Halloween memories, being in school and the decorations going up and the days that we would wear a costume. But I really feel like a significant memory is probably in kindergarten. My parents were still together, and my dad and I were at Montgomery Ward. He was shopping for something. It's right at Halloween, if not Halloween evening or the day before. And they had a vinyl record. It said The Monster Mash, and has Dracula on the cover. There's blood dripping down. It's Bobby Boris Pickett, playing. Half of the album is bubblegum pop kind of Halloween songs, and some aren't even Halloween songs. But Purple People Eater.
Yeah.
And then the other side. So I asked him, and this is the wildest thing with my dad. You never asked him to buy you anything. You just knew you were gonna get in trouble. 2 things that I did take the ballsy approach to asking for. One was a comic, which he ended up getting me, and the other was this record, which he got me. Took it home, put it on a little record player. The funny songs are on one side, then you flip it over and it's the sounds of Halloween, and they are horrifying. There's a werewolf little moment in there where it sounds like the werewolf is eating a baby. I'm not joking. It was so disturbing, and I bawled my eyes out, and I felt so bad. So my mom made my dad take it back to the store, and I think I pushed through the fear ever since. To this day, if you were ever to come to my house, you'll see the second floor is lined with framed. I've been collecting Halloween horror records since that time now, and I now have 63 different vinyl records that are everything from Haunted Mansion album to Sounds of Terror, the Sounds of Halloween, the Vincent Price, witchcraft albums, all that stuff. I love it.
I think that's what's incredible is finding that thing that you were afraid of at a moment, and then you're like, but wait, but I kind of liked it a little bit, but it takes you a little bit of time to come around to be like, okay, it's fine. It's fine.
It's totally
The werewolf
okay.
is not really eating babies, or maybe it was.
I have the album now.
Okay.
Of course.
What does it
'cause I
sound
had-
like to you now?
It sounds like
the same
baby.
thing.
It sounds like the werewolf is eating a baby.
So it's probably what it was.
I could probably pull it up on YouTube and we'll play it for the crowd at some point and see. But because it could be, someone was like, no, I think it's a sheep or a lamb, and I'm like, it sounds like a
It sounds like a
baby.
baby. I mean, for dramatic effect, we're gonna go with baby.
They're really rough.
So before all of this, was there a moment, because I know you said your first horror film, was there a moment earlier on where you had actual fear? Like, do you remember the first thing that you were afraid of?
There's three, well, it's a dark answer, but I was scared of my dad. He had a terrifying temper. He was a little Jekyll and Hyde because he was so loving and so sweet on certain days. And, alcoholism and addictions run in my family forever. It's why I've battled it. And I'm my own Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I'm not without my own darknesses for sure. But that was it was a scary house to live in because you didn't know from day to day if it was going to be the fun house or if it was the horror house. And as a little kid, that imbues you with these lesions, almost like leeches of dread that just stay there. I've been learning about this lately. A lot of theories say that some of those early fears, unless we're able to do the work on them as adults, kind of live in there forever. And then you build up all these defense mechanisms against them, which sometimes evolve into unhealthy behavior. Like for me, it was drinking, using drugs, or whatever. But so that was something that then I don't know if it was like chicken or egg, because it manifested in then. So being raised in a pretty religious household where, and this is no offense to anyone depending on your belief system, I was raised with a very kind of simple explanation for this is life, this is what happens at the end of life. If you do this thing, this happens. If you do this other thing, this happens, and it happens forever. Mm-hmm. And I would lay in my bed very young. I have these memories very young, and my full body, almost the way people describe sleep paralysis. And there was this, everyone's gonna laugh, but this is true. There was this, I would envision this giant meatball floating above my bed, and it was infinity. And I would lay there just staring at what infinity felt like to my body, and it scared the bejesus out of me. And then, interestingly, because I had not yet seen Frankenstein or the Wolfman, but both of which became very influential on me, I had one dream, because I lived in the attic of the house that we had in Kansas, and there was a little tiny door that led to some storage, and I would dream that this little Frankenstein man would come out of there and chase me down the stairs in slow motion. And the other was, this is so sophisticated, and it was a recurring dream. Maybe at this point I had seen a couple of Victorian set horrors on cremation, but I don't think so, because I was very young. I had this dream several times. It's Victorian era. I'm coming down the stairs of this home, this Victorian era home. There's a man standing in the hearth, where the fireplace is, and he's saying, I'm a werewolf, please put me out of my misery, please, before it happens. Now this is before I saw Curse of the Werewolf, because I remember this dream very early, so maybe it's from even Scooby-Doo werewolf lore, I don't know. But then the fire, emulsify, what's the word? Engulfs him, and he transforms into a wolf. And I run out the front door, and I'm running down the street, but my feet are in glue. Mm-hmm. And he's coming after me.
Slow motion, in quicksand, can't get away.
Yes. So those were the earliest big T fears, or big F fears that I remember as a little guy. And they live with me today.
You still remember them vividly.
Vividly.
And I think clearly this is all of these memories and all of these occurrences have formed the person that you are today. So let's talk about Good Fiend Films, your production company. You have Late Night with the Devil, you have shows, you have comics. It is a whole world. How did that come about? And I feel like we know your inspirations for it, but Tell us about Good Fiend Films.
Sure. So coming out of the Chicago theater community, I was always driven to try and write and create my own projects. I did struggle, with addiction, and so I lost a number of years there when I was getting clean, and when I came back into the game, got on stage, which led to me getting to audition for commercials, which led to me getting to audition for my first movie, The Dark Knight, and that gave me the opportunity. I was transitioning to becoming a full-time actor. But I was using all of this time that I now had to write, because I love writing and creating stories. And a mentor of mine early on, a guy named Chris Smith, who made a documentary, if you love horror documentaries, called American Movie, about two guys trying to make COFFIN. It's one of the best documentaries. If you've never seen it, rent it tonight. But Chris was an early mentor of mine. He directed a lot of commercials I was in, and we became friends, and he helped produce the first movie I wrote called Animals, and he said, write what you know. Write what you know. And what I knew at that point was addiction and codependency, dependency. And so I wrote this film. It was a successful venture, artistically, professionally, and so I tried to follow that path. And as after my second and third attempts at more indie drama, which I love, I thought all these ideas and themes and concepts that I'm wrestling with as a human that I want to explore in my stories, something that's missing is my love in storytelling of genre, horror and science fiction in particular. So I started to play around with these ideas, big ideas, stuff that you might not even know I'm thinking about when I'm writing it, but that to me are the fuel, the engine of why I'm writing the stories. And I just started to go that path, and it led to Count Crowley, which ended up has become an amazing experience with Dark Horse Comics. It led to me writing and creating a number of things, and I thought, I need a production company, as small as I may be. If it's just me, it's a company so that I can use that as my home base, my little pillow fort, where the ideas can grow, and then I can find partners on different projects. And so got to co-produce Late Night with the Devil, got to co-produce the Boulet Brothers Halfway to Halloween special with my dear friends, the Boulets, who are here today. You got to go see them. Got to develop for publishing Count Crowley, as well as now I'm doing Creature Commandos with DC and a bunch of other fun genre projects. And that's where we are today. I think I've got like 17 different, if it's between film, television, unscripted, and publishing projects. It's a small team of us. There's like 4 Fiends at this point. And I really love it, and I'm excited for you guys to see all the stuff that we're putting together. Thank you. She's clapping in the front row. I appreciate you.
And I think that's amazing. I think that there's certain people that will, take roles, and then there's certain people that see that they want to do a certain thing, and I feel like that's what you've done with Good Fiend Films, is you've seen that, I want to do so much more, and I'm going to make it happen. So I'm incredibly proud of you. I can't wait to see all the things you do.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. Well, we're going to work on stuff together.
Yeah, I can't wait. And you talked a little bit about Count Crowley. I want to talk about Count Crowley because I love Jerry's character.
Thank
round
you.
of applause for Count Crowley.
Thank you,
Yes.
thank you.
And I feel like we've already talked about a little bit of your inspirations for Jerry's character.
Yeah.
But I saw an interview where you said Jerry initially you thought would be a guy. And
Yes, true story.
Yeah.
So around age 12, maybe, I'm watching Crematia's Friday Nightmare, and I remember thinking, because I loved comic books, I started collecting comic books not long after I started loving horror movies and Halloween records. And I thought, how cool would it be? It's like if Crematia, this horror hostess, but what if there's a horror host? Because I knew that male horror hosts existed as well. I'd seen, just imagery or something. I just thought, like, horror host who puts on the creature feature but knows all the lore of how to defeat monsters, because all he's done is watch horror movies his whole career, finds out that monsters are real. So then he goes to and he's going to become like a monster hunter, and
Naturally.
naturally.
That's how it
So I saw Fright Night and amazing Roddy McDowall's performance, and I was like, they stole my idea.
Great minds think alike.
But over the years, that idea kept growing and germinating and evolving in me. And at the end of the day, it was just kind of like a one-note idea. It's like, okay, sure, horror host who fights monsters. is that enough for the kinds of stories that I want to tell? So then I go through this long, journey of, recovery. And I thought, what if Jerry struggled with alcoholism or addiction? And I thought, that's interesting, because then it's about the demons within as well as those without. Then we entered into this new era of time that we live in, where people in power who don't like the information that's being reported, say if it's about them, let's say, oh, hey, I'm so sorry, you're running for class president, you actually lost. And then you go, no, I actually didn't. We're going to turn this around, and we're going to say, no, we didn't lose, and we're going to, get people to go and get guns out and, storm places that should be safe, et cetera, et cetera. And I thought, what if the monsters have been putting all this fake news and information out to us all this time? So our monster hunter who thinks, well, I know everything there is to know. You use a wooden stake to kill a vampire. You use silver bullets to kill werewolves. What if that's all BS? What if they've been pumping that into the collective consciousness to beguile us when the day comes that it's time for Armageddon? So then, last thing, really quick, it's a long answer, but it's important to me because Jerry is my heart. I talked to too many women in too short amount of time who had at work or at their place of con life, work life, community life, had horrendous experiences with men, which no one believed. Like, no one took seriously. So I thought, Jerry isn't Jerry with a Y, it's Jerry with an I. She is a she. So I came up with this concept of a woman who wants nothing more than to report the news. She grows up in a small town like me. Her parents run this little rinky-dink local affiliate TV station in Missouri. She goes to the big times. She gets out of the small town. She goes to Cleveland. This horrible thing happens to her, and no one believes her because the star anchor of this news program is like a hero. And so she drinks a lot, and because she drinks a lot, no one takes her seriously, and she loses her career. She ends up back home in Missouri, and her brother, who now runs this failing little TV station, is trying to keep his poor sister afloat, and he's like, I can't put you on TV, you're fall down drunk. But if you put this goofy makeup on, I can get you paid, and all you have to do is put on these old horror movies, because the guy who's been hosting these movies for decades just stopped showing up for work. Our Count Crowley is missing. So she does this thing, and the night that she goes on air, she's wasted and makes fun of everybody who would be watching this stuff, and it turns into like a sensation. People love her, and as she's out in the parking lot, a guy grabs her and says, where's Count Crowley? He's supposed to help me. Tonight's the night. I'm changing again. And she's like, buddy, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm trying to get home. And it turns out that he's a werewolf. And the Count Crowley who is missing was one of the last appointed monster hunters. And now Jerry, by fate, has inherited this position. And to protect her family, the people she loves, she's going to not only have to learn about how you actually do stop the bad monsters, how to band together with the good monsters, but also how to become free of her dependence on alcohol. So that's where it all grew from. This is the long, long answer. Well, I hope you're still awake.
That's the perfect answer, because Jerry, she's incredibly inspiring. She's incredibly relatable to so many different people. You created a character that not just one type of person is going to, connect with. You created a character that so many people can connect with on different levels. So
I hope so. I
yeah.
really do. I wanted to create a female monster hunter. Now, please don't get me wrong. My first crush was Cremation Mortem. Vampirella was like, I had all those covers, and I thought, I love Buffy and I love Hack Slash. I love this history of awesome women monster hunters, Bloodstone, but I still felt like I wanted somebody where there was no midriff. Does that make sense? I wanted just punk rock, like combat boots.
She's a badass.
There's nothing, to me, Jerry could be sexy to some people, but she's definitely not sexualized in the sense of
right.
And I'm not knocking that tradition, because there is a fun, awesome pinup thing that I love in that world. But I just wanted Jerry to just be and then you'll see Oh man. So please keep tuning in. Right now we're doing my homage to Frankenhooker in the new volume. You've got werewolves, we've got the vampires. It's all coming together. Shit's going crazy.
And Count Crowley's side note, there's a photo op.
Yes, did we find out where it is?
I have the information.
Okay.
It is behind the Knott's booth next to Elvira. So after this panel, you're going to be heading there, right?
Great.
for the
So
photo
right
op.
from here, I'll be doing pictures with anybody who wants one. We got this awesome Count Crowley
Super cool.
electric chair, and you can sit in the electric chair, and I'll pull the switch for you. So it's behind the Knott's.
Behind the Knott's booth, next to Elvira. So when
Next
you
to
walk
Elvira.
back
Is
to the hall,
Cassandra here?
I think she's here today. Yeah, we got to get Cassandra in the
love
electric
Cassandra.
chair. So I have one more question for you, and this is a selfish question. This one is for me, and then we're gonna do what's in the coffin. Doing all of this spooky stuff, being part of this spooky world, are you a believer in the paranormal?
I want to believe in the paranormal.
That's all
I
really
want
needed
to believe.
know.
I am, Fox Mulder.
Yes.
I am currently engaged in conversations with, I think, some of the top supernatural investigators in the world. I'm fascinated by it. I'm also fascinated between the line between psychology, science, the supernatural. I don't know if there maybe is one. Maybe there are, there's how many colors in the prismatic spectrum, and we see like 7 or something like that. Yeah, there's so much that we don't see that we can't perceive yet. I've seen things in this life. I've seen things
You have
you
seen
people
things.
wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire. No, I think that it's important to keep an open mind and to believe, but I also think it's very important to beware of the use of that stuff to instill fear.
Absolutely.
So there's this really interesting place that can be fun and it can be exciting. Some of it was weaponized in a way that kind of messed me up when I was a little kid, and now I'm finding just because something is supernatural, does that necessarily imply that it's evil? I don't believe so at all.
Absolutely not.
I'm excited about, I will say the other night with the Boulets and a couple of other fiends, we did a seance, and there may or may not have been some very interesting contacts made.
Wow. So I did a ghost hunting show, and the reason that I asked this question is because I really am just gauging whether or not, when I'm like, hey, David, we're going to go do this spooky ghost hunting thing, are you in? And I feel like you're going to be in.
I'm in,
okay, perfect.
and I'm always
Mulder and Scully.
Yeah, I'm always
Here we go.
open, and it's Christopher Lee gave this weird interview that always messed me up a little bit. He's like, you must be careful what you're dabbling with. I'm like, you're the guy in like all of my favorite devil movies. Like,
Yeah.
What are you talking about? But he, I've seen scary stuff, and I think a lot of it is triggered by programming in my brain. But I
Memories,
also
yeah.
think that there's really wonderful, magical stuff in this universe that loves us. That's the biggest thing. I think the giant force in the universe, that's the trick. That giant big force that's like the big all of us back together again someday when we see through all the bullshit of what divides us and we go, oh yeah, this is what it was all about, is actually love. And is pulling us towards a higher consciousness. So that is always a good way to reassure yourself at the end of the day when you go, why does it seem like this universe is so compelled to convince me that I'm utterly alone in it? Why does it seem like there's so many flagship signs along the path that are going, you're alone, nobody gets you, nobody understands you, you're not worth it, da-da-da. Why that exists, I don't know. Why the darkness, and when I say darkness, I mean the darkness is in like the hard feelings, the hard things, the scary that isn't fun, scary stuff exists. I don't know, but I know that there is something really powerful, beautiful, that is love, that is pulling us. And I hope if you don't feel that way, you'll take my word for it just for today, because
No, forever. Take
we
my
love
word
you.
for forever. That is such a magical way, and I think a lot of that is perspective, right? We are in control of how we see things, and we are in control of being able to fight all of those negative things and choose to look at the good and stuff. So I think that's amazing words of wisdom. And on that note, I'm going to bring out a coffin.
What's in the coffin?
So what's in the coffin, essentially what's in the box, but a box is boring and we don't do that. So we have a coffin. I think I have a couple things that I know that I'm gonna put in there, but I have a couple things and I feel like I'm gonna let them choose.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you guys choose the first thing. So I feel like you should close your eyes. Will you close your eyes? Can you just make sure that he's not cheating? Okay, it's gonna give me 1 second. So we have our coffin. Oh wait, I have to put it in front of you. And then I'm gonna come hold your mic. I'll put it on the side of you. I'm gonna set this down. Okay, guys, let's see. I'm gonna try to do this quickly. No peeking. Okay, so the first, it's gonna be either this. I'll leave them right here. Or this. Or that. You guys know what these are, right? These guys. So what do you guys think? 1, 2, or 3? 1. That's what I think. We might do this after this. I feel like this is good. All right, so we're gonna put. Your eyes are still closed. Number 1. I'm gonna take this out. Okay, so I'm gonna put it right here so I'm not blocking you. Okay, you're gonna have to go. I guess we'll go. It's just gonna be in front of you if I just block you. Okay. So there's holes. Don't put your hands in the holes yet. But they're on the sides. You're gonna get your hand. You can open your eyes now. Okay, hold on.
Does it feel like a wolf man? Does it feel like is it one of the Remco 1970s werewolf figures? Am I close? Am I close? People are clapping. Am I getting some approval? Can I look?
Yeah, you can look.
Oh, look at that!
No, I think we all should have known you were gonna instantly get that, but they chose correctly. I don't know if he has batteries in him. He might.
I love him.
Does he have batteries in him?
I don't know. I feel like Eddie Munster right now.
I was gonna say. Okay, I need to get better at this, but I really thought that would take a sec because it's big and the handles are not very big. I know.
Really quick.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody follows how closely you follow my very bizarre career, but to promote Count Crowley, because I love Dark Horse, but they don't really have marketing budgets in comic book companies are hard to come by. And so I said, if I do my own stuff, would you let me put it on your social? They said, you do whatever you want. We'll support you. And so luckily, one of the amazing folks at Dark Horse and some friends and I started putting together these ads for my own creature feature host called Dr. Fearless. And Dr. Fearless has now become his own entity. And we do these ads, but I'm seeing a Dr. Fearless in the crowd. Can you stand up, Dr. Fearless? Can we please give Dr. Fearless? Oh, that is a very good Dr. Fearless.
Okay, we have. Yeah. Okay, I think we'll do one more round because I want to give you guys a moment to ask some questions. So this one, I was gonna do the other thing, but I feel like he's too good at this. He's gonna get it immediately. So your eyes are closed. Just look down. You won't be able to see. Okay, can you guys see what this is? It's gonna take a minute, right? It should take a minute for this one. Okay. No peeking. You keep doing
Not
what you're
peeking.
doing. You keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, we'll have it open. And then for after just seems. Okay, I'm coming back around. Round 2. You ready? Are you ready though? Are you ready? Okay. Right here. Yep.
So I can look. Oh, these are candy corn. Now we've got Gummy eyeballs. No, we've got gummy. Oh, jeez. It's something that I would hope to get in my bucket on Halloween, I think. I could be wrong.
Food allergies?
I have no food
Okay, you can
allergies.
close your eyes and you can try it.
Oh, exciting. Like gusher, like a bloody gusher, a bloody eyeball gusher. Okay.
Gushers.
Gushers.
But they have chamoy on them, so they're spicy. It's vamp gushers, bloody gushers. Ding! That's for you. And I also have wipes because your hands are probably sticky.
I'm going to trick my kids now because they always like to steal my candy, so I won't tell them that we've got some hot and that's a little spicy. It's got a little zing to it. Thank you.
Okay, so Q&A time. Anyone have questions? It's really hard to see you, so I think you can if you can just project, or there's a microphone coming your way. Yum, they're good, right? They're delicious. You can actually, I think, if she's not sold out, they're available at Danny's Spooky Treats, so you can try them yourself as well.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
David, I just first wanted to thank you so much, not just for being here, but I think you're such a marvelous, creative individual. You're consistently excellent, and I'm just so happy to see all the opportunities and exposure that you've been getting recently.
Thank you.
Just thank you for your work. One of my favorite horror films of all time is Ghostwatch, and Late Night with the Devil really really viscerally like hit me in that same way that Ghostwatch did, and I just wanted to ask your experience working on it, what drew you to it, and if there were any other types of like subgenres of horror that you wanted to explore later on.
Has anybody here seen Ghostwatch? It's a masterpiece. It's an incredible film. And so Colin and Cameron Cairns, who wrote and directed Late Night with the Devil, absolutely were inspired by Ghostwatch, as was I. I think it's incredible. I love subgenres and the subgenres that live within the subgenres. I'm really excited that Late Night with the Devil worked for audiences as a found footage, but a new take on found footage kind of film. I think the thing that I'm looking for next, I don't know how it's going to work, but somebody out there, some creative mind is dreaming it up right now. It's like, I want to bring back the Percepto, William Castle, interactive feature film experience. Now, I know 4KX or 4XK is doing something like that. I saw the last Halloween film in that mode where you're getting sprayed with water when blood sprays and the house is shaking. But I feel like there's even more to be had in that space. So that's a subgenre that needs to find its way back, I think.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Where is our next victim? There is a hand right there, I think. Do you see this?
I wish so hard for us to see.
It's very hard to see.
Hello.
Hello.
I wanted to say, if you could choose any character to play again that you've been, what would it be? But also, I love that you're a My Chemical Romance fan. So thank you.
Side note.
My Chemical Romance fan. I see he had the Attack on Titan t-shirt. There's a lot of good shows, mangas, bands living out here. I would like to play again. You know, he's dead. He died, as do so many of my characters. It would be really fun to put the costume and the makeup again on to bring Peter de Vries back for another shot at messing up those nasty little Atreides. I really feel like he got screwed over with that poison in the Duke Leto's teeth. So I wouldn't mind another shot at Peter. Anyone else? Don't be shy. Don't be scared. We don't bite.
Max, we're gonna let you pick because it's really hard for us to
Yeah,
see
we can't
hands
see,
with the
so you
lights.
pick.
Yeah.
Hi, David. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi.
One question I wanted to have is there's a lot of different horror stories that would translate into many different mediums, Frankenstein being a novel, moving into comics, movies, television, what have you.
Yeah.
Do you think that there are some stories that only fit in particular mediums, or do you think certain horror stories can just transpire and translate into all or many?
That's a great question. I'll get in trouble, so I won't give the example. There are certain stories that exist real well in literature that don't translate to film as well. That's for sure. I've noticed that. I will say, though, maybe it just wasn't the right adaptation. Maybe it wasn't the right take on something. Here's how I feel about things being reimagined, reinvented, existing in other platforms. The role of Hamlet has been being performed and interpreted since 1667 or something. And it's been now done hundreds of thousands, I don't know, millions of times on stages across the world. It's been interpreted through comic text, through film, through radio and recorded drama. So I don't know. I mean, would a video game of Hamlet work? Maybe. Could. We'll see.
Possible.
But I think everything is possible. I think if you feel like you've got something to say about a character that exists and you want to try and take your stab at it, go for it.
That's a great question.
Okay.
Right over here.
All right, we'll get Chucky after that one. You go first and then Chucky. Yes.
Hi, yes. So you have to recast Late Night with the Devil like a Muppet Christmas Carol.
I love it.
One actor stays as a person. The rest are Muppets. Pick your favorite Muppets for. You don't have to do the whole thing. There's a lot of people in that movie, but you got it.
No, I'm going to be for sure Jack. I'm playing Jack, and then Fozzie is going to be my sidekick. I'm going to have Scooter as my manager backstage, running around losing his mind. I'm going to have Janice as our poor, afflicted, possessed young woman coming on stage. Oh, gee, for sure, man. I feel like there's something going on here. I think maybe. Definitely. Sam the Eagle is going to be what's his name? Who's our skeptic? Yeah, the guy, Skeptic Eagle.
Yep.
Oh my God, Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem are the house band.
Absolutely.
I feel certain that our psychic would be. Not Crazy Harry. Who's throwing the fish?
Swedish Chef.
Not Swedish Chef. The other guy, the guy who juggles the fish. I love Swedish Chef, but he's not in the movie.
He's not. He didn't make the cut. No.
Anyway, yeah. Good question. That's a great question. I love that question. Anyone else? There was Chucky.
Yep.
Hi. You mentioned you struggle with anxiety and mental illness and stuff. Do you use that to your advantage on your creative process, like writing and your roles, or you just try to push that to the side?
I don't think I use it to my advantage, but I will not allow it to stop me from doing what I love to do. So, something that does not feel healthy to me would be going to work, wrestling with something that's happening in my, psyche, and going, I'm going to use today on set as a way to work through something, because that's not fair to everybody else around me. I have a job to do. I have to memorize my lines. I have to interpret the character, and I have to bring that thing to life and, create these emotional realities that audiences would believe are really happening. That being said, when I'm scared of something, when I am trying to work through something, having an opportunity to write those ideas into my creative storytelling can be a great process through which I can look and ask questions. But I still think it's really my responsibility is to do the work that I do through support group, through mental health support that I'm able to get through meditation, mindfulness works, all the different layers that go into me maintaining a day-to-day survival. Oh, there is a really cool monster in the house, you guys. Sorry, I don't want to draw too much attention to her, but I'm very excited.
Me
My
too.
favorite monster actually walked into the room. That's all I'm going to tell you guys.
That was
Yeah.
a great question. I think we are running out of time, so I think we have time for one more.
More question in the back?
I'm going to let you pick.
Oh,
Dave.
guys,
I
don't
know,
put that
I
on
know,
me.
Sorry.
Yes.
First, I'd love to say thank you so much for your vulnerability here. I think that's really important to share. But I wanted to know if you could choose to reprise any traditional monster role, which one would you choose?
If I could be any monster, which one would I be? What do you think? The devil? No, the devil is like no. I mean, I want a more. Not Frankenstein. Nosferatu. What do you think? What do you think? Who should I be? You know who okay. Lon Chaney Jr., Oliver Reed, so many great actors. There's something in me that I think I could bring to the Wolfman that I would love an opportunity to explore. Being afraid of something that lives within you and going, how can I get control of this thing? It seems to have power over me that I can't seem to tame, and it's easy to go, well, it's because of the moon. But if you guys, I don't want to be here tooting my own stuff, promoting my own stuff.
That's
but
what we're here
please
for.
grab the first issue of The Creature Commandos, which is hitting DC very soon in your local comic shop, because the way I explore werewolf in that and the narrative in that, I'm really excited about. And I'm really honored that DC's letting me take a stab at reinventing or recreating the way the Creature Commandos look and exist and feel. I've also got a new comic. If any comic book fans out there, you like genre comics, great. A new comic from Image called Knights vs. Samurai, which is coming later this summer. It is got Oni, witches, ogres, goblins, dragons, and of course, knights and samurai fighting. So it's kind of self-explanatory. Count Crowley Volume 3 will be dropping in bookstores this fall. The Headless Horseman, which is the really awesome Dark Horse annual Halloween special. My writing partner Leah and I did a piece for it last year called Horror House, and we've got one this year that I'm super psyched about. There's a little homage to a very special creature that you guys all know and love in it. Doing one for DC. The Boulay brothers are contributing, as well as some other awesome writers, but we're doing one that we just found out yesterday. DC board loves it, but they need us to pull back a little bit of the violence.
Oh, boo.
So, well, that's okay. That's a great note to get. I'm
That's
excited.
true. That's true.
Yes.
So everyone's job out here is we're putting into the universe, David is Wolfman. David is Wolfman. David is Wolfman.
Okay, cool.
That's your homework. Thank you so much. This was fantastic. I hope you all had fun. You guys can watch this later over at letsgetspooky.com, plus so much more. And please do not forget, you're going to head over to Behind the Knots booth next to Elvira. David's going to be over there with the Count Crowley electric chair. You can take your photo with him. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And don't forget to stay spooky.
At this time, we ask that you collect your belongings and make your way out of the auditorium. Oh, and a word of advice: as you leave, step lively, making sure no unwanted ghosts follow you home. Enjoy the rest of your experience at Midsummer Scream.